الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
سووا واعتدلوا. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. والسماء بنيناها بأيد وإنا لموسعون. والأرض فرشناها فنعم الماهدون. ومن كل شيء خلقنا زوجين لعلكم تذكرون. ففروا إلى الله إني لكم منه نذير مبين. ولا تجعلوا مع الله إلها آخر إني لكم منه نذير مبين. كذلك ما أتى الذين من قبلهم من رسول إلا قالوا ساحر أو مجنون أتواصوا به بل هم قوم طاغون. فتول عنهم فما أنت بملوم وذكر فإن الذكرى تنفع المؤمنين. وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون. ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون. إن الله هو الرزاق ذو القوة المتين. فإن للذين ظلموا ذنوبا مثل ذنوب أصحابهم فلا يستعجلون. فويل للذين كفروا من يومهم الذي يوعدون. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. إن المتقين في ظلال وعيون وفواكه مما يشتهون. كلوا واشربوا هنيئا بما كنتم تعملون. إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. كلوا وتمتعوا قليلا إنكم مجرمون. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. وإذا قيل لهم اركعوا لا يركعون. ويل يومئذ للمكذبين. فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Inshallah, immediately after the Sunnah, we will begin the program. Tonight we have a youth halaqah and a special New Year's Eve program for the youth with Sheikh Saad Qadri, who is, mashallah, visiting us, Imam of Masjid al-Huda in Milwaukee. And we welcome the youth who came with him as well to our community. May Allah Ta'ala accept their coming out on this night. So the programs will start right after the Sunnah. Jazakumullahu Khairun. Those who finish their salah, please come closer, inshallah. Please come closer, inshallah. Inshallah, we will begin with a short recitation of the Quran for one of the students here at Dar es Salaam, Hafiz Muhammad Hamid, from the first year.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا فلعلك باخع نفسك على آثارهم إن لم يؤمنوا بهذا الحديث أسفا إنا جعلنا ما على الأرض زينة لها لنبلوهم أيهم أحسن عملا وإنا لجاعلون ما عليها صعيدا جرزا
أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا فضربنا على آذانهم في الكهف سنين عددا ثم بعثناهم لنعلم أي الحزبين أحصى لما لبثوا أمدا نحن نقص عليك نبأهم بالحق إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakullahu Khair. That was Hafiz Muhammad Hamid from the first year at Dar es Salaam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give him tawfiq to follow his footsteps of his two brothers, mashallah, who are in the 7th year, graduating from the full Alim program. Ibrahim Hamid and Suleiman Hamid, and he is Muhammad Hamid. These three brothers, mashallah, are a very integral part of our madrasa and the whole family. May Allah ta'ala reward their parents for their efforts, reward the kids for their studying the deen, and may Allah make them shine and prosper. We are very honored that we have Sheikh Saad Qadri, the Imam of Masjid al-Huda, located in Greenfield, Wisconsin, near Milwaukee, visiting us tonight. He was born in Park Ridge, Illinois. He grew up in the Chicagoland area. He completed his bachelor's degree in English and history at Northern Illinois University and his master's degree in education at DePaul University. Inshallah, I will summarize this bio. He formally began studying Islamic sciences with local teachers on a part-time basis for almost 15 years. After he completed his master's, then he went overseas to Zambia and he completed his Alamiya degree. And he also studied Islamic science and spiritual development. SubhanAllah. And he has been involved in local organizations, national organizations. He has authored a book as well. And mashallah, he'll be speaking to the youth tonight. May Allah Ta'ala reward him for coming out and gracing us with his presence. And it's always a pleasure to host him. We have had the honor multiple times and we hope to continue to benefit from him in the future.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه مباركا عليه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه جل جلاله وعم نواله وأفضل الصلوات وتم التسليم على خاتم الأنبياء المرسلين سيدنا وحبيبنا وسندنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في القرآن الكريم: فأين تذهبون؟ فقال نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم: إنما الأعمال بالنيات وإنما لكل امرئ ما نوى. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام: إنما الأعمال بالخواتيم. أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله النبي الكريم ونحن على ذلك من الشاهدين والشاكرين الحمد لله رب العالمين. Alhamdulillah, it's very nice to be here. It's very nice to see all of you here. And it's very nice to see that someone who is supposed to be in wrestling walk through the door right now. It's a long-running thing. If you're in i'tikaf, you'd understand with us. Don't turn red. And you're this, you're supposed to turn purple, not red. There's a very beautiful story. It's not of a Muslim, it's of a non-Muslim, that I've shared before in this masjid. The story is very popular. Where's Abdullah? Abdullah, where's your brother Asad? No, Abdullah. So Abdullah will appreciate this story. When I was in high school, I was told this story by my chemistry teacher, who was also my coach, that there was a man named Dan Gable. Dan Gable, his entire life, he used to be a wrestler. And then after he completed wrestling and wrestled in the Olympics, and then he became a coach. He had won every match he had participated in. I think his final record was 181-1. The only match he lost was the last match of his collegiate career. And so when he was in the Olympics, he won a gold medal for America. And when he won the gold medal, the next day he was interviewed by some reporter. And in that interview, he was asked, well, what did you do this morning? How did you celebrate? So he responded by saying that I went out jogging, I went out running. So the reporter was very surprised. The reporter was surprised because he just won a gold medal. And you would think the next day there would be some break, some relief, some release. But what did he do? He went out running. So he asked him why. So he responded by saying that gold medal I won was for the last Olympics. I'm now preparing for the next Olympics. So here you have an individual who just won the previous day. But for him, that gold medal, whatever he won, that's now behind him. He has to prepare for what's happening next, what's going to occur next. And those types of people, you see them very successful. Those individuals who don't keep looking back, except for one reason, I'll get into that shortly. But they're constantly moving forward. And lo and behold, he continued winning his entire career. And these are the types of individuals that are successful in this world. They're always looking for the next step, how to keep being victorious. They don't sit back on their laurels or on their heels and begin to think, well, I won, now let me relax. There's no relaxation. Because once you accomplish one goal, either you can celebrate that goal or you can go for that next goal. And if you look at the lifestyle of the believer, when he or she accomplishes one goal, when the time comes to celebrate, how does she celebrate? So within our deen, what is celebration? It's known as Eid. Eid is celebration. And both of the Eids, when do they occur? They occur after a very rigorous period of time. Eid al-Fitr, it occurs after 29 or 30 days of fasting, of qiyam, of tahajjud, and namely after 9 or 10 days of i'tikaf, seclusion, worship, pushing ourselves to the limit. Then Eid comes. Eid al-Adha, how does that occur? That occurs after the Layal al-Ashr, the 10 nights of Dhul Hijjah, in which any type of worship in these particular nights outweighs worship throughout the entire year. So in these two sets or periods of time, people are pushing themselves throughout the night and the day, night and the day, night and the day, to grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So at the end of that period of time, then what happens? We have celebration. And what is our celebration? Now, celebration, it can do one of a few different things. Celebration can, one, distract an individual. And how do we know that? We know that sometimes when students, they complete an exam, and now they begin to relax and celebrate. And they tell themselves, I'm going to take a week off, I'm going to sleep in over break. But then that sort of carries over into the next term, and now they begin to, what? They begin to suffer because that celebration has actually harmed them. Or, there's a different type of celebration. A celebration that benefits individuals. And this is what the believers we do. That at the time of Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Fitr, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us do? He has us pray a 6th prayer in the day. 5 are no longer sufficient. That day, there's an extra prayer added in which a believer comes to a gathering place, listens to a khutbah, and then submits himself and herself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's how the believers celebrate. Why? Because in the end, if a celebration in this world caused us to slow down, if it caused us to take a break, then that will actually harm the greater celebration, which is what? When a person enters into Jannah. See, Jannah is the greatest celebration. Jannah is the opportunity for an individual now to continue celebrating and enjoying for the rest of eternity. There's no end at that point. It's just celebration, celebration, joy, joy, fun, fun. It's just constantly open doors of enjoyment. So if an individual in this world feels, Alhamdulillah, I completed Ramadan, I did i'tikaf, I fasted all 30 days, I led tarawih prayer, whatever the case may be, I prayed tahajjud every night, now I'm going to take a break for a few days, then what they've actually done is whatever motivation and whatever movement forward that they were able to, whatever, what's the word I'm looking for? When you sustain something moving forward, what's that called? Sorry, momentum, Jazakullahu Khairun. That momentum that they have at that given moment, it's going to come to a halt. And within Ramadan, what do we see? When Ramadan comes to an end, we have an extra prayer with Eid al-Adha. There's Laylatul Jaza. There's a night of worship. There are the 6 days of fasting of the month of Shawwal. Why? Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had left it to human intuition and human desire, we would have rested. But what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? He flips the paradigm and He makes us what? Now begin to look forward into Shawwal. And if anyone has studied, when he studied about Hajj, you see the days of Hajj, when do they begin? They don't begin in Dhul Hijjah. And they don't begin in Dhul Qa'dah. They begin upon the completion of Ramadan. Now the preparation of Hajj begins. In fact, some scholars say Ramadan is part of the preparation of Hajj. Thus, an individual who wants to have a permanent success, that individual doesn't take a break. Because that individual sees, okay, I may have been able to pray Fajr in the masjid, but have I prayed Dhuhr in the masjid? I may have prayed Isha in the masjid, but have I prayed Witr yet? I may have prayed Witr, but did I pray Tahajjud yet? I may have fasted on Monday, did I fast on Thursday? There's a constant reflection, there's a constant muhasabah of the individual self, such that they can see, am I moving forward or am I slowing down? Now, I'm mentioning this because this entire gathering was sort of situated and established because of the fact that today, within the Gregorian calendar, is New Year's Eve. And individuals across the world have been or will be celebrating New Year's. Now, New Year's is a very, very interesting celebration. Why? Because with a believer, we celebrate during Eid, one, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded through our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And two, because from the level of just human understanding, we do it because we worked hard. But New Year's, there's no work involved. You can sleep the next 365 days and then celebrate New Year's the next day. There's nothing to celebrate. See, celebration comes at the end of something. If you and I are playing a match, let's say Muzammil and I are playing basketball, and I win, he wins and I lose. If he wins and I lose, I'm not going to celebrate. That would be foolish. If we play, he beats me 11-0, I'm not going to go celebrate and see, well, I played. No, because I lost. I did not take the task to its actual end. Celebration only comes after some effort's been put forth and some goal has been reached. But with New Year's, there's no celebration. There's a celebration, but there's no effort put. And what's very interesting about New Year's is this is a time in which, when I've spoken to some ulama, across the world, they say the following. They say it's a time in which you can feel the nafs is beginning to go crazy. The nafs begins to have a very strong push. The nafs begins now to have a type of motivation that's not found throughout the year. Now, if you want to understand why, it's very simple. You know, sometimes when a person begins to better himself or herself, they begin to have these arbitrary times. The true believer who wants to grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we're trying to be in this position, if we recognize I want to grow closer to Allah, what do? We say, it's 8:35 p.m. right now, I'm going to do tawbah now, I'm going to start afresh right now. But the jokers amongst us, the first and foremost in front of you, what do we say? We say things like, okay, well, it's Monday. I'll wait till Wednesday because there's a narration that's mentioned in some books that if you begin something on Wednesday, there's barakah. That's what the jokers will say. Then you reach Wednesday and then maybe a person will sleep through Fajr or not accomplish their goals on Wednesday. They'll say, it doesn't matter. Why? Because what's around the corner? Friday. I'll start Friday. Because Friday is Jummah. I'll start with Jummah. And then something will go wrong on Saturday. They'll say, okay, no, but Sunday is the beginning of the week. And then something will go wrong, so they'll say, okay, well, Monday is the actual work day, weekday, I'll start with that. And they're constantly pushing their time of beginning. Some of you may understand what I'm saying. Some of you might not have any idea what I'm talking about. Those of you understanding what I'm saying, you know that cycle that occurs that when a person makes a very weak intention and they're unable to strengthen it by acting upon it immediately. If you look at the narration that exists in the different canonical works about the man from Bani Israel who was forgiven after killing 100 individuals. That individual committed such a crime, such an egregious set of errors, that individual, his blood is halal according to Sharia to be killed by a proper government through penal code. But what happens when that individual decides, I want to change? He goes to a person of piety and requests him, I've killed 99 individuals. Is there any portion of tawbah for me? So the person says, no, you've killed 99 people. There's no portion of tawbah for you. So he becomes angry and he does exactly what we do. If something doesn't go right, he slips up again. He kills that 100th individual. The individual, if we don't wake up for Fajr, for example, may Allah protect us, then what do we say? Okay, tomorrow I'll get better. No, the right thing to do is do tawbah at that moment and move forward. But an individual says, okay, no, from tomorrow I'll improve. Because Fajr is my weakness, I'll improve from tomorrow. If someone doesn't utilize their gaze properly and they don't lower their gaze, what do they say? Okay, well, from tonight I'll be better. From tomorrow I'll be better. It's not about tonight, tomorrow. It's about from the next moment. He has killed 100 people, now one more than the previous time that he went and sought advice. And this time when he goes and seeks advice, he is told that there is who can be a barrier between a slave and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy. But he's advised that what? You now need to go and leave the community. So this man picks up and leaves. He doesn't say, maybe later. He doesn't think maybe 2 weeks from now. We don't know. The narrations, it doesn't mention how much time it takes. But from the wording, it seems quite immediate that he picks up and he goes. Part of his tawbah is that he now leaves his city. Part of his showing his tawbah is he leaves his city and he begins to walk and he begins to migrate to a new city. On that path, he passes away. Now, when he passes away, if you look at the different books of hadith, there's a lot of interesting things written over here. The first one is that the angels from heaven and hell come to claim his soul. But if you look at the narration of Ibn Majah, rahmatullahi alayh, in his book, in Sunan Ibn Majah, what do we find? We find that it was not the angels of hell who came to claim his soul. Who came to claim his soul? Iblis. In that narration, it says clearly that Iblis came. Do you understand what this means? What this means, look, if I do something really good in this masjid, maybe one of the khuddam will come. If I do something even better, maybe one of the students will come and congratulate me. If I do something even better, maybe, one of the teachers. But, you have to do something really excellent, and then, well, maybe not this masjid because they're all very down to earth, but, you go somewhere. If you do something amazing in the city, will the mayor come and thank you? No, maybe the local police force will come thank you. If you do something extremely amazing, maybe the mayor will recognize you, give you this false key to the city. But if you do something extremely important, maybe someone higher up. So the more you have striven towards that goal that whatever political powers have, the higher up that individual will come. Imagine, according to narration Ibn Majah, that if shaitan had to come, how happy must he be? How happy must he be with this individual? Shaitan came. And he came to claim the body, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did what? He then made the statement, the declaration that if he is, measure his body. If he's closer to the place of his intent, he will enter into paradise. If he's closer to the place of his departure, he will enter into hell. Now, in one narration within the Sahih, what do we find? That he was closer to the place which he was supposed to enter into, that he was intending to go. He entered paradise. But in another narration, the Sahih, what do we see? Where was he closer? To where he departed. He was closer to where he departed. And because he was closer to where he departed, that individual should have been in hell. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so happy by all the characteristics in this individual. This desire to do tawbah, this desire, even though there was one obstacle in his way, that previous set of advice that he was given, he still came back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His immediate action, all these things that came together, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was so happy with this. What does he do? He tells one part of the earth, Ya ard ba'idi, that, O earth, where he left from, extend yourself further away. And that earth that was further from him, qarribi, to come closer, closer. And so even though he should have entered into hell because he's closer to the place of departure, what happens? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala literally has the entire earth shift. The earth that we walk on, upon which we live, shifts over so this man can enter into heaven. This is the nature of the acceptance of Allah. This is just one of the different ways. We can't even say it's the nature because Allah Ta'ala can grant even greater acceptance than this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in atani yamshi ataytu harwala. If a person comes to me walking, I race to that individual. A person barely has to make any effort towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will race towards the individual. His mercy will be full-fledged racing towards all of us, and He is so quick to forgive. He is so quick to forgive, He's so quick to have mercy, that the example given in hadith is that one individual who all of his wealth and his belongings, all that is stacked up together upon camelback, and he's now traveling. And when he's traveling, he rests under the tree, and whatever binding that he had for his camel had loosened, and now it goes away. When he wakes up, he's lost, he's hungry, he's thirsty, he's without shelter, he's without assistance, no one around. And what does he do? He begins to prepare himself for his own departure, his own death. He now settles down to what? Die. He lays down to just die. And when he wakes up, what does he see? He sees the camel is back. And he becomes so happy. He says, Oh Allah, Ya Allah, Anta abdi wa ana rabbuk. You are my slave and I am your Lord. He meant to say, Oh Allah, you are my Lord, I am your slave. But out of the complete happiness and delirium he's facing at that moment, he flips the word around, which is shirk in essence. But what does he do? He does this out of ecstasy. Our Lord is so merciful, despite the fact that he has violated Allah Ta'ala's greatness with his tongue. What does he do? He forgives him. He accepts him. He grants his mercy towards him. He doesn't forgive him that narration. He grants his mercy towards him, which is what? The bestowal of all those goods that he was given. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so quick. Now, why is this a time, that's where I left off on this tangent, why is this a time where nufus go crazy? The reason why this is the time where a nafs goes crazy is because what do we begin to say? Let's say someone wanted to become, get in better health. Towards the end of, let's say it's middle November. Like, I want to start working out, I want to start losing weight. Then what all of a sudden happens? What happens at the end of November? Thanksgiving, right? They begin to eat turkey. Then they say, okay, no, now I'm going to get in better health. Then all of a sudden, whatever the holidays come, etc., holiday parties, etc., now they gain more weight. So now, Christmas is over. I'm not talking about you, but non-Muslims, right? Christmas is over. It's the 26th. They start exercising on the 26th? No, what do? New Year's. It's 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 1. 7 days away. They can start now, get a 7-day head start, but what do? They just, no, it's the end of the year. I'm going to enjoy myself. And they begin to enjoy consumption. And then what do? They make a New Year's resolution. And shaitan, not only is shaitan happy with this, all the corporate world is happy with this. This is why you have all these deals now. Join a gym. for $1, for $10. Why? Because they know you'll pay the $10, you'll sign the fee, you'll give the $80 joining fee, etc. Then you won't come back after 2 or 3 weeks. They're very happy with it. This is easy money making. But what happens, people are now saying, well, the end of the year is coming. With the new year, I'm going to become better. And this is why a lot of the ulama, they've said that we feel towards the end of the year that people's nafs go crazy. Times Square, what's happening? I forgot that I was looking at the estimation earlier today. Estimated some million people will be there today. To do what? Watch a ball drop. They're literally counting the moments of their life away. 10, 9, 8. They're counting it. On the day of judgment, what will they see? 10, 9, 8. There's some believers across the world doing tahajjud, doing dhikr, etc. So they're literally counting the moments away. Now, a few years back, I don't remember if this is when I was overseas or not. There's a Batman movie that came out a few years back, the day before Ramadan. Anyone remember this? No, of course not. I'm joking. No, you're still pious. So, there's a Batman movie that came out the day before Ramadan. I think it was like the second Batman film. There's so many of them. So this Batman movie, there's this whole discussion. I remember this. People were saying, I hope Sha'ban goes 30 days. So I can watch Batman the night before, and it's not Ramadan yet, and then I'll start Ramadan. That'll be my cleanse. You guys remember this? Some of you do, some of you don't. Some are like, I don't watch movies, mashallah. Whatever the case may be. But some people, I remember quite literally, this was the conversation. This was the conversation that was being had at that period of time. Now, in this conversation, what's the harm, right? What's the harm? Now, if you look in Colorado, what happens in that first day in which Batman is shown? Who remembers? There's a shooting. There's a shooting in which an individual goes into the movie theater and begins firing on everyone. He just begins firing. And I heard he became Muslim in jail later. Yeah, I heard it. Allahu A'lam, I don't know. So he begins firing on people. Now, can you imagine the poor state of that individual who said, it's only the first, I don't remember if Ramadan was 29 or 30 days, or Sha'ban was 29 or 30 days at that point. But can you imagine the poor state of that individual? Moments before Ramadan, they're like, I'll just go after Dhuhr. I'll watch a little before Asr. By Maghrib, I'll be out in the masjid. And they go. I don't know if any Muslims died that day. They go to watch in anticipation of that last joy before what? Ramadan. That last joy before Ramadan. And they go in, and they were unfortunate enough to come to that theater. Can you imagine the regret on the Day of Judgment? Can you imagine the regret? Because look, وَمَا كَانَ نَفْسٍ أَن تَمُوتَ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ كِتَابًا مُؤَجَّلًا. It's written. So whether it'll be in a theater or in a masjid, it's written. It's going to happen at a certain time. That same person could have been before Asr or before Maghrib, sitting in masjid making dua for cleansing of the soul, of the heart, of the self, in anticipation for Ramadan. Or that person was in what? Let me just get my last enjoyment. My wife was just telling me, because we have to go to New Orleans this upcoming week. So I don't know much about New Orleans. And so my wife was, I mentioned, I told her something about Mardi Gras, I think it's called. And she's like, do you know what that means? I was like, no, I don't know what that means. It means Fat Tuesday. So I was asking, like, what's Fat Tuesday? Because she's from the South. I'm not from the South. We don't have Fat Tuesday in the North. We have fat every day nowadays, but there's no Fat Tuesday. So she's like, oh, Fat Tuesday is the day before, anyone know? Ash Wednesday. It's the day before Ash Wednesday. And what happens with Ash Wednesday, aside from putting that little mark? What happens? What happens in that period of time? Sorry? A certain type of fasting begins, right? You can air quote, yeah. There's a certain type of, unless you're like energizing bunnying me or something like that. No, air quote, right? Air quote, no problem. I always love when people air quote. It's awesome. Because they're like, and some people, they don't know how to do it. So they say like, well, I'm going to the masjid. Are you going somewhere else? Because this does not mean that you're going to I'm going to sleep right now. And then they actually go to sleep, so they don't know what this means. So anyway, it's before Ash Wednesday. This is a very un-Islamic principle. That prior to the worship or prior to the change of intention, I'm going to just let it go. And I've seen guys like this. Guys come to me, some of them are suffering with some pornography problems. They'll say, well, I slipped up. I'm just going to continue today, but tomorrow will be better. SubhanAllah, what is the guarantee that tomorrow will come? I mean, even now we're sitting on New Year's Eve with the assumption we're going to live to see tomorrow. But that assumption isn't correct. We don't know when that's going to happen. We don't know when that's going to happen, when Allah Ta'ala will have our soul taken away. So all these individuals are now saying, let me just let loose and do what I have to do until New Year's, and then I'll make my resolution. But the believer does not begin his resolution, her resolution on New Year's. If that was the case, it'd be 3 months ago, right? 4 months ago, because we're in Rabiul Thani now. That's not when we do things. The believer, every moment is that New Year. Because every moment we recognize the gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and every moment at any given time is what? The opportunity for a person to turn back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, one of the good things that we see, because there is good, hikmatul dalatul mu'min, that the hikmah is the lost possession of the believer. Wherever it is, we go try to take it for ourselves. Hikmah, there's hikmah in this though. And that is what? Because people make New Year's resolutions, what do? They take a look back. And they say, I've really messed up before. I messed up before. New semester, what do people say? I can't wait for that new semester. I'm going to get a nice solid C this year. No C minus, solid C. No one says that. No one says that. No one's a senior who says, all right, basketball season's coming up. I'm going to make JV this year. No one says that. Everyone, when that new opportunity comes, tries to aim for the top. And so when there's a new opportunity, people always try to aim for what's best. So these New Year's resolutions, what people are trying to do is they're trying to see, this is where I've messed up, and this is where I have to now be if I want to be considered successful, at least to myself. And that itself is a very Islamic principle. I think my time's up. It's like blinking. Your tahajjud clock just went off. It's a little early for tahajjud, isn't it? He's smiling because he knows I'm right. Alarm off. It's a very beneficial principle. You know, Allah Ta'ala asks the question in the Quran, if you take it generally, فَأَيْنَ تَذْهَبُونَ? Where are you going? Where are you going? Where are we going? You know, it's a very interesting question. Where are we going? Have we mapped out our lives? Have we mapped out the next week? Have we mapped out tomorrow? Who knows what they're doing tomorrow after Dhuhr? I'm working. Okay, maybe some people. Who knows where we'll be praying tomorrow? Who's actually thought of these things through? Rasulullah ﷺ, he had a very interesting schedule. He had mapped out his day regularly. There were differences in the days. Rasulullah ﷺ took his day and he said, there's 3 important parts to my life. There are the people that I have to serve as a prophet. There's my family that I have to serve as a father, as a husband, etc. And I'm in the picture as well. So he took his entire life and he divided his day into 3 portions. One portion went to the people. And he would give time to the people. And you see that regularly in the sunnah. It's a regular practice. When Rasulullah ﷺ came back from battle, where would he go right away? Would he go home? He'd go to the masjid. And he would meet with people. Rasulullah ﷺ after Fajr, did he just go home right away? No, he sat. He remembered Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He listened to people. He interpreted dreams at that period of time. It's a regular practice. These are regular practice within the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. He had part of his time for his family. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam would be engaged with his family. He wouldn't help on the house. He would actually serve the house. And the third portion, which was for himself, the nighttime, he's found someone better to give it to, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he submitted to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's a man of vision. Do we know how tomorrow will be? Do we know how much time? Because what we say is, okay, I'll figure it out when I get there. And when we figure it out when we get there, 2 things happen. Either 1, we get very lucky, we fall in the right place in the right time, or 2, things become very random. Now there's a principle I want you to remember. If you remember nothing else from this talk, just remember this. Whoever is random with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expect that what? Allah will be random with them. But whoever is very specific, very careful, very calculated with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be the same way. What do I mean by this? You know, sometimes people say, well, I'll pray Dhuhr, don't worry about it, I'll pray. And they don't make it to the masjid. They say, no, but I'll pray Dhuhr. Then it's time to, then they go home, then time's leaving, you know, 2:55 for example, Dhuhr will end, and at 2:53 they're praying Dhuhr. They still got it in. But because they're making it so random, and they're making their submission whatever they find that period of time,
what happens, they're not gaining that full benefit from the prayer. Then there are those people who what? They take the prayer and they make it that their primary focus. And then they revolve everything around the prayer. If they're at work, they make sure what? They know where the prayer room is, what the time they can pray is. They've already established all those things around it. And when they've established it that way, you see those individuals, they benefit from prayer much more. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, أَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ لِذِكْرِ, establish prayer for my remembrance. Most people, they establish prayer just to avoid Allah's punishment. And then they wonder, if Allah ta'ala says in Quran, إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ, that verily prayer, it prohibits or prevents a person from going near illicit and immoral acts. Why am I not there? Because we're just making the prayer random. But those individuals who actually make the prayer, make the fast, make the zikr at established times, in Quran it uses established times. It says, اذكروا الله ذكرا كثيرا. That's there, yes. At the same time, it says, what? سَبِّحُوهُ بُكْرَةً وَصِيلًا. It gives us times. Quran al-Fajr كَانَ مَشْهُودًا. It gives us times. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is showing us, He's indicating what? That there are times in which your submission is, it could be general, but there's times in which there is a certain benefit that comes with it. And those individuals who look through the Sunnah and Quran, they begin to see what is the habit of the Prophet ﷺ. The habit of the Prophet ﷺ, when he wasn't fasting, he would often eat after Asr. The habit of the Prophet ﷺ was that he'd remain in remembrance of Allah Ta'ala till Ishraq. The habit of the Prophet ﷺ was he'd be involved in communal and worldly, the air quotes properly used, worldly items during pre-noon and post-noon time. We see that the Prophet ﷺ would take a nap often post-noon, sometimes pre-noon. These were well-calculated events of the Prophet ﷺ. So now we're coming to the New Year's, and it's tomorrow. And instead of saying my New Year's resolution, my Milwaukee guys are done. I've seen more Milwaukee's guys walk out of this masjid than I've seen every other moment that someone's walking out. But they're all Milwaukee guys, and they all settle in one corner of the masjid. That's cool, man. You guys hear me every week. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. So, sorry, I'm just joking around, guys. Except for Saud, we have some beef right now. And I'm a vegetarian. We got beef, Saud. You know it's bad then. You know it's bad. Anyway, so instead of looking at New Year's resolutions, which is bound to fail. Why is it bound to fail? Can anyone mention one reason why it's bound to fail? This is actually, yes, go ahead. Jazakullahu Khairun. We see that, okay, Ibn Rajab rahmatullah alayhi, he writes in Lata'if al-Ma'arif, what? He writes the following, that the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, half a year after Ramadan, what would they do? They would make dua for the acceptance of Ramadan. And the half a year before Ramadan, they would make dua to see Ramadan, to be blessed to see Ramadan. So it's on their mind. So that half year, which is around Rabi'ul Awwal, around this period of time which is past, they would begin to make efforts now to lock themselves in preparation of Ramadan. Would it just be making dua? No, the dua is an indication of something greater. They would be making dua, but they would be engaged in the acts that prepare them. And what do we see? We see the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ it varies within fasting, but within the month of Sha'ban, did the Prophet ﷺ do more fasting or less fasting than usual? More. Some narrations, entire month. Some narrations, half the month. But he did more fasting. What does that show? It's a preparation for the coming of Ramadan. You can't just say, well, I'm not going to fast and all of a sudden jump into Ramadan. Yes, a person could fast, but what's going to happen? They'll begin to have headaches, they'll feel thirsty, they're going to be agitated. It's not going to be an enjoyable experience. So there's now what? A preparation into Ramadan. So, like the young man was mentioning, that an individual, he's my son, so an individual does what? He now begins to, in these days, the individual is what? Not working out. Complete sloth, complete glutton. Is just eating, and is going to start the new diet, what? New Year's Day. That's when they're going to start the new diet. Really? You're at a New Year's party, and you're just going to stop. It's like, 3, 2, 1. Okay, no more of this. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So they haven't prepared themselves. That's one reason it's going to be failure. Now, how does the believer avoid this? The believer avoids this by the following. The weight of that momentum can throw a person off if it's not in the proper direction. So what does the believer do? There's a certain weight that's holding us back. So the moment we slip up and we mess up, what do? We do tawbah. What tawbah does is it dissects and severs all those strings that are holding us back due to a certain sin or a certain habit. It's now all severed away. So if we're going to make a New Year's resolution, we have to recognize that it's not about 12 o'clock, midnight. It's about this moment. Am I going to do that tawbah? And Rasulullah ﷺ has mentioned a very, very common hadith that we read in even the introductory books of hadith. At-ta'ibu min adh-dhanb. The one who repents from sin, كَمَنْ لَا ذَنْبَ لَهُ. It's like that person who has no sin upon them whatsoever. Now in reality, a person who never sins and does sins, they're not going to be completely equal. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had our Prophet show what? That person, in terms of their interaction now moving forward, there's going to be a removal of sin. And in terms of what's in the account, it's going to be the same. It's all going to be removed. If a person's trying to move forward, you're trying to drive your car, and you have 10 people in your car versus one person, which one will move forward faster? The one with one person. The person trying to row the boat and there's an anchor down versus the anchor not being down, the one with the anchor that's up will move faster. The believer with all these sins on their back versus the one with no sin whatsoever, the one with no sin is going to move faster. فَفِرُّوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. They will race towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala faster. Now what is one of shaitan's easy tricks that he does? He constantly tells us a few things. See, shaitan, he's not that unique. He's clever, but he's not unique. Because some of the things he does to me, you'll say, well, he does it to me as well. One of the things shaitan makes us think is, why will I do tawbah? Because if I do tawbah, I'm just going to fall back to the same sin again. Now, for example, before we came in this room, before you walked in the masjid, how many of you had the term tawbah in your mind or heart sometime today? We had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. So what about the rest of us? Maybe we didn't have it in our mind or heart. Now, are those 5 or 6 people more pious than we are? Maybe, inshallah. Or, maybe the reality of tawbah is as follows. There's a verse in Surah At-Tawbah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the 3 people who are left behind. وَعَلَى الثَّلَاثَةِ الَّذِينَ خُلِّفُوا Jazakullahu Khairun. The 3 people at the Battle of Tabuk who remained behind. At the end of the verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا. When Allah ta'ala says, tubu ilallahi tawbatan nasuha. Tawbah ila is the believer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Tawbah ala is Allah towards us. Astaghfirullah, what does that mean? Allah does tawbah? No. What it means is ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants the tawfiq to do tawbah. You have to be muwaffaq for this. It has to be given tawfiq in the heart. A person can't just think of tawbah on their own. And if they think about it, they won't necessarily act upon it. So number one, if tawbah came into the heart of anyone, that is a sign that Allah Ta'ala wants you to do tawbah. So don't let shaitan come and tell you, oh, why are you going to do tawbah? Because you're going to sin again. The previous 2 hours you weren't thinking about tawbah because Allah did not will for you to think of it. But the moment we thought about tawbah, it was what? This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is tawfiq from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's now put into our hearts the desire to do tawbah. So shaitan comes and says, well, what's the use of doing tawbah? You're just going to fall back to that same sin. That's fine, because Allah reminded me, now I'm going to do it. Secondly, if I do tawbah and then repent, and 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 I go back and forth 1,000 times like this. If I do 1,000 sins, and I did tawbah 999 times, and then I die before that last tawbah, what are the maximum amount of sins I would have committed? 1. And because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rewards for your regular actions, and this is in many places within hadith, He'll probably have accepted your intention to do tawbah anyway, and that's actually a very interesting hadith. I'll try to remember to go back into it later. So 1 or 0. But if a person does tawbah and says, why am I going to do tawbah? I'm just going to sin again. And they sin again, because that's kullu bani adam khata. All of us are sinners. And then we sin again and sin again, sin again, sin again. And 1,000 sins later, we've sinned that many times and we don't do tawbah. Then we pass away. How many sins do we die with? 1,000. So in which situation is a person more likely going to gain paradise? Look, why would we listen to shaitan? Does shaitan want us to go to Jannah? He has no desire for us to go to Jannah. He's upset with our father. Now the narration I was mentioning is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's hadith Qudsi, where Rasulullah mentions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when a slave repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then turns to the angels and says, what? Look at my slave. He begins to brag about the slave to the angels. And then he forgives him. Then that slave falls into sin again. And then repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again. And what does Allah ta'ala do? He forgives him. And then he falls into sin again. And repents to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the hadith, it only goes 4 times. But the idea is that it continues over and over and over. Allah ta'ala turns to the angels and says what? Because every time he sins, he repents. He says, my servant has recognized my position. He knows me. He knows that I'm the forgiver. So bear witness, I have forgiven him for whatever he will do. So why not repent? Why go into the new year, the Gregorian New Year, whatever the case may be? Forget the new year. Why go into 907 with all those sins? In Tawbah, it's just nadama, according to the hadith. It's just, you can do Tawbah in this moment, I can do Tawbah in this moment. If we sincerely feel, I really messed this up, Allah Ta'ala will forgive the individual. Who says that you have to raise your hand? Who says you have to do this and that? Yes, there are principles of Tawbah assigned within hadith. Imam Nawawi rahmatullahi alayhi highlights 3 or 4, depending on if it's against a person or against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in general, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do whatever He wants. So the first thing that they do why their New Year's resolutions fail, and why we don't fail as believers, is they come with this burden on their back. What's the second reason? What's another reason why things fail for New Year's resolutions? Yes. Very good. There's no means of motivation. Often, and I actually mentioned this in a talk here. Was it here? No, it was in Milwaukee. Last year, at New Year's, actually. I was in, Muslims had bought out this YMCA. So I was in this gym. Actually, now I realize I totally cursed myself with that, but I was working out. I mean, sure you can tell. So I was working out. And when I was working out, I saw a lot of new people that day. It was like a couple days after New Year's. A lot of new people were there. I remember in that masjid I mentioned that I can tell those who will come back and those who won't come back. There's a couple people who came individually, started working out. And they had it all. They had the sweatband, and they had the wristband, and they had the sleeve, and they had it all. They must have spent more on the gear to work out than the actual membership itself. So they were working out. And then I saw a couple people who came with friends. The group members, they all got memberships together. I remember I told the masjid very clearly, I said, look, I know from that group who's going to continue. And it's those guys who came with other people. And anyone ever hear, shameless plug, but not for me, Janwar Fitness, ever hear of Janwar Fitness? Janwar Fitness is a Muslim fitness company. You ever heard of Janwar Fitness? Yeah, you were living there. Are you guys members? No, just checking. Farhan, you know? Come on. I thought maybe your buttons had torn. They're so wide open right now. So Janwar Fitness, my former roommate from my undergrad years, Shaquille, he opened up this thing called Janwar Fitness. What do they say? We make beasts out of men or something like that? What's their slogan? Something like that. So my roommate and I, we used to work out together. He's huge now, almost as big as me. So this individual, alhamdulillah, he's an IT person, but he also does these fitness things. Now, one of the things that and it's really nice, you should look into it. It's separate, the brothers, they rent out a facility at certain hours when no one else is there, no music, and it's just brothers. And the sisters have their own thing, I don't know what the sisters thing. So, when I didn't want to go work out in my undergrad, he would just make me go. He's like, come on, man, I need a spotter. Fine, I'll come, I'm just going to spot you. When you get there, you feel foolish, I'm just going to spot him, so you lift with him. When there's someone pushing you, what happens? You move forward. Now remember that verse I mentioned, ثُمَّ تَابَ عَلَيْهِمْ لِيَتُوبُوا? How does that verse end? Allah's most tawab, Rahim. What's the next verse? يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. The next verse is exactly the next point. O you who believe, have taqwa of Allah. That's not easy. So be with people of truth. Because if you're with people of truth, and even if an individual wants to slip up, then what's going to happen? You're not going to slip. Because there's a group of 5 who want to do something good. And then one begins to become weak, and now there's only 4 of the 5. That's still going to push everyone forward. So one of the reasons why people totally fail in these New Year's resolutions, they take it upon themselves. Whereas you see the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, they always made pacts on doing things together. Even death they made pact. They made pacts on death. If you look in hadith, how many times do we see that some Sahaba, like Ikram bin Abi Jahl radiallahu and others, what would they say? Who will make bay'ah to me for bay'atul maut? We're going to fight until we die. They made a pact. We're not leaving this battlefield, we'll become shaheed. If a group is fighting, and they're all individuals, and they don't really, is it easy for one person to get afraid and run away? Potentially. But if they now made that pact, we're not going to leave, we're all going to fight to the death, no one wants to be that one who runs away. The Sahaba, that's made them the Sahaba, the suhbah that they had. So it's this constant keeping together. So if an individual, if we want to move on from Tawbah to now that next step, which is applying whatever we intend to do post-Tawbah, what do we have to do? We have to have a group with us. And the people who make New Year's resolutions, they don't do that. They just make this individual thing, oh, I'm just going to lose weight. No, you're not going to lose weight. Because your spouse didn't make that same resolution. Her resolution, I'm going to gain weight. Your resolution, I'm going to lose weight. You're going to lose. Meaning that you're going to lose out. You're going to end up gaining weight. It's not going to happen. But if there's a group of individuals who are pushing themselves, what will happen? They'll push themselves. That's why when students come to study with them, what do they usually say? Go find a classmate. Not that we want a larger classroom. It's because when you don't want to come to class, you're going to feel jerky not coming because the other person's going to be left stranded. It's always do things in groups. The next reason why resolutions don't work, I'm just going to move forward with this. Resolutions don't work is why people have these amazingly lofty resolutions. I'm going to get a 6-pack by next week. Brother, you got a 6-liter. It's not happening overnight. Have to have measurable goals. And the Prophet was with the Sahaba in this way. There's a very interesting discussion in hadith about when the Sahaba, I just want to give, and I don't work for Dar es-Salaam, but I'm just going to give, it's really important that people study. Part-time, full-time, on some level. Because the wisdom and the nur, the light of guidance that you'll find in Quran hadith won't be found anywhere else. You can hear it in a bayan, but when you open it up and you come to discoveries while interacting with the text and what centuries of scholarship have bestowed upon us by Allah's tawfiq and preservation, it's a whole different experience. So these lofty goals, what do we see within hadith? One of the things, one interesting discussion that comes up, that Hazrat Aisha radiallahu anha, she once asked the Prophet ﷺ, why do you pray all night when your feet, what happens? They swell, they crack. So what did she say after that? She didn't just say when your feet swell and crack and leave it. What did she say more than that? And you've been forgiven. You've been forgiven. Now we know our aqidah, Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, the Anbiya are ma'soom. They don't sin. So how is the Prophet going to be forgiven for a sin? Ghufira, that what's been forgiven? A-dham. The sin, that's what we call sin. So one of the discussions is that people often, the general answer people say is, well, the Prophet may have chosen a lower meritorious decision than a higher meritorious decision. That's there. But there's another one I remember one of my teachers had given that I thought was just an amazing decision. And again, you get this from studying. So he said that everyone in deen, the Prophet ﷺ was in constant taraqqi. He was constantly improving day by day by day. The Prophet ﷺ is the best of all creation. But how he was in the beginning of revelation and the end of revelation, there's a difference. There's a very big difference in how he was. He was constantly, there's constant taraqqi. And we see this in the life of the Sahaba. I'll give an example just shortly. Just remind me to give this example. So Rasulullah ﷺ, he was constantly going and growing spiritually. Now, if a person is constantly improving in 20 days, 21 days, 22 days, looks back on what they did on December 31, and they've improved regularly for 29, 30 days, whatever the example I gave a moment ago, what will they think of their action on December 31? It was horrible. Hasanatul abrar, sayyi'atul muqarrabin. The good deeds of the people of goodness, of piety, are the sins or mistakes of the people who are very close to Allah Ta'ala. They find it, people find it shameful. There was one Sahabi, name I'm forgetting, who after missing one tahajjud, he repented by praying tahajjud every night. His repentance was every night in tahajjud for missing one tahajjud. They couldn't do this. They couldn't just make it for Fajr. That wasn't their habit for some of them. So now the Prophet was constantly improving. The person is constantly improving and looks back. Look, let's just look at it this way. If you're just learning to play a sport, you're just learning to play hockey, for example, and you've never strapped on skates before, and you strap on skates, and now you're falling over, and someone videotapes it. And 3 months later, now you're skating up and down the rink. You're doing that turn where you cross your feet over, you're sliding to a stop, everything. When you look back 3 months ago at that videotape of you're falling over, it will look like the most childish thing ever. Because looking back, after a drastic improvement, a person does what? They see, what was I doing back then? The Prophet was constant taraqi. So when he would look back at good deeds, he felt the need to do tawbah because they weren't where he was later in life. And even Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when they're migrating to Madinah Munawwara, does he migrate with the other Sahaba or does he wait for the Prophet? He waits. Does he wait or does he wait with preparation? With preparation. He purchased 2 camels. He fed them a very specific type of foliage so they can get stronger. He had done all this preparation. So how does that prove anything? Well, actually Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu migrated once before. Well, he didn't complete the migration. It's in Sahih Bukhari. He began to migrate, and Ibn ad-Daghina, some scholars say he became Muslim, so radiallahu anhu. He saw Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu outside of the city, asked him where he was going. Abu Bakr told him, I'm migrating, I'm leaving. That Abu Bakr, and he came back, that Abu Bakr who intended to migrate just a few years before, now could not migrate even though Muslims were given permission, except with the Prophet. He could not part ways with the Prophet. He was constant taraqi as well, at a certain level, So the idea is that what? If we're constantly going to try to improve, and we take small steps, no one jumps the first step to the 10th step. It doesn't happen. But what do? You take 1 step. You take 2 steps. We take 3 steps. You climb the rope in gym. You shouldn't aim for the top. Just aim to get off the ground. It's taking those first steps. If a person begins to learn to crawl and stand, they'll eventually begin to run. The walking will come along the way. The goals are too lofty. The goals are too lofty. A person thinks, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z this year. That's too much. Assume that larger goal, but then break it up. I'm going to be a hafiz this year. How will I do it? Make goal number 1, finding a teacher. Spend 2 weeks finding a teacher. Find the teacher, register somewhere, or find a friend who will teach you. Okay, make goal number 2 what? Finding a good qari that you can listen to. Spend 1 week finding it. If you jump from A to Z, no one's going to reach there. But if a person takes step A to step B to step C to D, then they'll eventually get into their goal. Then they'll eventually get to their goal, and this is the mistake that people have in these lofty goals. The other mistake that people make is that they don't set an end goal. Look, it's very hard to strive towards something that has no end. You know, when you play basketball, what's one of the first things we decide? Teams, good. What's after that? Good company, right? What's after that? Sorry? Who's got ball first? Good. Make it, take it, or straight up. Good. What else do you decide? Full court, half court. Good. What are you going to play up to? If you start playing, it's 321 or 320. It's a close game. Dude, you're tired by then. We'll play 21, we'll play 11, we'll play 7. You know, I'll spot you 6, I'll still beat you. Whatever the trash talk is, the idea is what? You have an end goal. And so those individuals who there's no end goal. Well, I'll lose 60 pounds. Well, you can lose 60 pounds over, 30 years. Or a person can lose 60 pounds over, 10 months. There has to be an end goal. So you have to take this end goal. So you have this pizza in front of you, and you recognize what? I can't have the whole pizza. I need bite size. I have to take 1 bite of each slice and work through it. So I'm supposed to lose, for example, 60 pounds this year. I'm not going to look at the end of the year or have I'm just going to lose 60 pounds. I'm going to say, okay, no. First goal, find a fitness trainer. Second goal, find a good diet. Third goal, whatever the case may be. Now, by March, I want to have lost 10 pounds. A sustainable, easy goal. By February, I want to have lost 5 pounds. And this the Prophet took Sahaba through in the same way. He did not accept donations from some Sahaba who would only give a small amount of gold. Why? It was too much for them at that moment. Forget gold and donating. When Sahaba like Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu wanted to give dawah the first day, what did he do? He said, no, don't do it openly. Why? Because perhaps the attack that they would face from people would then turn them away. So what would he have them do? Do something that's manageable. Go back to your people and spread it individually. Come to Darul Arqam and spread it secretly. He would have it done in such a way that people could manage. It was a set goal with small steps moving forward. Oh, I'm going to become a Hafiz this year. Really? And what, did you have that same New Year's goal last year? Brother, how'd you know? Because you're still on Juz Amma. That's how I know. Because I had that same goal as well. I had the same goal. And I look back, I left Madrasa from Tahfidh al-Quran in 2001. It's 2018, I'm still not Hafiz of Quran. Because every year I tell myself I'm going to become Hafiz of Quran. So finally someone just recently knocked some sense into me. Bro, just find a teacher first. Yeah, that's a really good idea. It's a really good idea. But that's one of the steps a person has to take. Now, I'm going to wrap up because it's supposed to go till 10. That's just too much. I mean, the Milwaukee guys can't find any more walls to lean against. I need to take some rahmah upon them as well. It's okay, because the wall is going to get dusty, so they helped out. They covered that. Now they're getting dusty instead. I'm just joking with them. I'm just joking. It's not like I'm pointing out where they are or anything. So the end goal, so what do I want to close with? I want to close with what I began with, and that's this idea of Dan Gable. Dan Gable, he had a certain goal. It may have seemed to be ridiculous in some people's eyes, but that was his goal. And he worked at it, and he didn't let one day go. In madrasa, people say, there's a lot of these sayings, there's no like hadith behind it. But like if you leave Quran for one day, it'll leave you for 1 month. But in fact, you see that happen. Someone who ditches class, whoever did Hifz of Quran, they know. If you ever ditch class, it takes a long time to get back into it. Rasulullah ﷺ mentioned for us, أحب الأعمال إلى الله, the most beloved actions to Allah Ta'ala, أدومها, they're consistent, وإن قل, even if they're small. So be consistent. Take it small, but be consistent. Take it small, be consistent. 1. 2, just like there's ways we build up, there's ways we're knocked down. So Allah Ta'ala mentions, وَذُرُوا ظَاهِرَ الْإِثْمِ وَبَاطِنَهُ, leave the apparent and the hidden ways of sin. Sin is the quickest way a person will be knocked down. Sin knocks us down for various reasons. 1, it spiritually deflates us. Shaitan has got the upper hand. 2, it morally deflates us as well. We think I finally had the upper hand, then when we sin, what happens? Then we feel down upon ourselves. And then we go back to that old cycle. Well, I sinned, let me just sin today, it's a bad day. It's a cheat day. Like diets have a cheat day, sinning apparently has a cheat day as well. It's just a cheat day, I'll just get it I'll get it out of my system. Don't tell me you haven't heard that before. A lot of you have told me that. I'll just get it out of my system. No, there's no videos. What is this? Out of my system. We're actually putting it into our system. When a person sins, they're putting something into their hearts. They're putting rust upon their heart. They're not getting it out of their system. Very few people have ever said, I sinned, I never went back to it again. I never met a person like that. Because sin is enjoyable. It's very enjoyable to look at which that is inappropriate. But it's very difficult to turn away from that which is appropriate. However, when a person turns away from that which is inappropriate enough, what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do? And he didn't say this literally, I'm giving a metaphor about what happens. He declares upon the believers a replacement for what they left behind. What do I mean? Looking at that which is impermissible is very enjoyable. There's a ladha, there's a halawa to it. So from hadith, we see Rasulullah ﷺ mention the person who controls his gaze, what does Allah Ta'ala give them? The sweetness of iman. So a person has to stop from sinning. And when they stop from sinning, they have to, 1, recognize that Allah Ta'ala will replace it, ni'mal badal, with something better. 2, they have to recognize what? That as I'm stopping this particular sin, I'm gaining a certain type of muscle. What does that mean? I mentioned this before over here. Okay. My goal is to end at 9:30. So I give short-term goal for myself. It's 9:24. So just want to get this in. Those of you who worked out before, you know that there's times where it's very easy to work out. Second day of January, all your friends are together, everyone's off of work, or first day of January, whatever the case may be. You hit the gym and everyone else is there. It's very easy that day. You're eating right, you put up a new blog, fityasin.blogspot.com, whatever the case may be, or whatever the case may be, right? You have something up, and you're so excited, right? Then what eventually happens is the person begins to slip. So, not Yasin, but others begin to slip. So what happens over here? When you look at this example of people slipping and maintaining themselves, when a person goes into a gym and they get a home gym system, what's the difference? One's a gym and one's a closet, right? One becomes a hanger. So what do? They put themselves in the environment. If you put yourself in the environment of what you and I are trying to achieve, chances are the sin that is preventing us from achieving it can't take place there anyway. If we're trying to control our gaze, and we put us into an environment like this, and what's tempting you right now to look? Me? So that's cool. But aside from that, there's nothing really tempting out over here. No offense to any of you sitting in front of me. There's nothing really tempting. So you put yourself in I put myself in the proper environment, then what happens? That sin itself can't take place there. Or let's talk about it from worldly terms. If I put myself in the proper environment of working out, the laziness can't come there. When I go to walk in the gym and I have my little 1 liter of water, and hey, what's up? Yeah. No, you look foolish after a period of time. Okay, my 30 minutes are done, let me walk out. No. People, you eventually get into it. So that environment is key, because the environment not only provides you the good company, but it prevents that sin or whatever's holding a person back. Now, finally, a person has to make dua. We can't do it without Allah. We're not here except that Allah gave us tawfiq. We're not, alive except Allah Ta'ala gave us tawfiq. We're not Muslims except Allah gave us tawfiq. It boggles my mind. It boggled the mind of Ibn Umar radiallahu anhuma. When he would see individuals who would leave prayer without making dua, he would stop them and say, don't you have anything to... When they finished their prayer, they prayed sunnah, whatever, nafil, and they didn't make dua for themselves. And they just left. He would ask them, you have nothing to ask your Lord for? So we have to be constantly in dua. Constantly in dua. In dua, what? Help for what we are seeking and gratitude for where we are. A person might be sinning, they should still do thanks to Allah. Why? Oh Allah, thank you for letting me recognize the sin. How many people across the world, they're completely ghafil of it. Thank you for letting me recognize that I'm sinning and letting me actually ask you for tawbah. How many people sin, they don't do tawbah? Thank you for letting me have the intention, because your Prophet said, إِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَّا نَوَى, a person's reward for his intention. So these are things that we need to do. So I said 9:30, 9:27. I am done, so I don't want to continue anymore. So I told question and answer. There's questions you can ask. Oh man, Mufti Saab's walking in. I tried Mufti Saab. Okay, okay, cool. He's coming in, he's like, you Jamia Islamia Lusaka guys. Us Zakaria guys could have gone another hour. It's probably true. But yeah. Any questions? No, awesome. G. Anytime someone wishes a Happy New Year, so some people say, well, you shouldn't say Happy New Year because it's the Gregorian calendar and there's a Roman and subsequently an idolic representation from it. Anytime people wish me anything, I always say, I hope you enjoyed your holidays. Because one, I gave them the nisbah, it's your holidays. So I hope you enjoyed your holidays, and that was it. Like, nothing else. That's how I respond. Because for me, the nisbah is with them in the end, like it's your holidays, not mine. Merry Christmas, enjoy your holidays, If there's someone who actually wants to have a conversation, I don't celebrate Christmas, then I'll have it. If not, it's usually a clerk on my way out who wants a raise, so they just have to say, Merry Christmas enough for that. And then I say, I hope you enjoy your holidays, and that's it. Yes? As a believer, we don't make our resolution for New Year's. Because what is this New Year's thing? We make our resolution like, I don't want you to make the resolution, okay, tonight at midnight I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Because then you still have 2.5 hours you're going to waste. The resolution begins now at 9:48 and 49, 9:28 and 51 seconds. That's my resolution from now on. Because what if you don't live to New Year? So we don't do that. But we can take the principle that something new is starting, and I'm just going to use that natural motivation and have that resolution. We can take the principle for it, but it's not, we don't wait till midnight. No other questions? Mufti Saab was looking for a half-hour question and answer session, so. We always pretend like we're doing questions. Unless he can hear me on the mic, then that's not going to work. For New Year's? I mean, for the kids, this is a really good question. And I didn't think about addressing this at all, but your question, alhamdulillah, sincerity, I brought that though. The question was, what are the kids supposed to do? I don't think the kids should do anything. I think the family should do something. And I'm very serious about this. If the kids are not going to think about these resolutions on their own, but the family sits down and says, tomorrow is the 1st of Muharram, or tomorrow is Jummah, or tomorrow is the 1st of January. It's a new day. Before we go to sleep tonight, and we should make this a practice, once a week, sometimes even every night, that what are we going to do to better ourselves tomorrow? Have that muhasabah of the self. So, the family might sit down, and you might just sit down with your kids and say that, I recognize tomorrow is the 1st of January and it's the new year, and I want to be a better person. Ooh, Yahya, what can you do that will better yourself? And Yahya might say, I do this and this and this and this and this and this. And then your job is rein them in. Whoa, Yahya, I know you can do these 50 things. Let's start with 3 that we'll try to be consistent with. And you see him be consistent through January and February. Then you might come back and revisit and say, March is around the corner. You've done excellent. Remember those other 47 that you had? Let's address one more. It should be a family effort. See, oftentimes parents, and we see a lot of youth over here, it's a youth night, but a lot of times parents, they just send their kids and they say, just go, be in good company. And the parents are home and they're on Netflix, whatever the case may be, and they're not really utilizing their time, so the kid comes home and doesn't benefit from it. But the whole family established that environment. And we see when Rasulullah ﷺ was intending to go to, on the hijrah, it was a family affair. Asma radiallahu anha, the daughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, she carries the zad, not belongings, the tiffin, for lack of better words. She carries the food of the Prophet ﷺ and back and forth. The son does what? Comes and gives morning reports. The slave who's not a Muslim does what? Makes sure to lead them upon the path. It was a family event. Such that the daughter of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and Abu Qahafa, who was not yet Muslim, the father of Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, had, how could he leave you like this? She even took some, pebbles and put them underneath the cloth, and he was blind, passed his hand over it, and he said, oh, your father left a lot behind for you. He didn't leave anything behind for them. But it was a family commitment. If it wasn't a family commitment, isharat an-nas, what do we take from this? The ishara is that if it wasn't, or you can say like the mafhum mukhalafa over here, like the opposite meaning over here is what? That if it wasn't a family commitment, she would say, you're right, grandfather. He left us without anything. But what? It was a family commitment. She was 100% buy-in. And the Prophet, when he became a prophet, what did he do? Khadija radiallahu anha, Fatima radiallahu anha, he went one by one to all of them and he gave that da'wah. They made this resolution to become people of the deen. When he became Khadija radiallahu anha, he said what? It's time to wrap up the bedding. He came to her and he sought advice and she took him to Waraq bin Nawfal radiallahu anhu. So it was these family resolutions and commitments. And that is a lot more powerful than the individual. Now what's going to eventually happen, someone's going to run to a family member who says, well, I don't want to better myself. I don't want to pray more. Okay, fine. Give them a dunyawi thing. How about you try to lift weights more? What, Dad, really? No, I'm serious. You don't want to do more prayers? That's fine. I'm not going to let it go. I'm going to still remind you, but you need to be in the gym 5 days a week. That sets a level of discipline for kids. One of the things I always tell parents, I just had a parent that came with me with their child's not doing well in school. One of the first questions was, well, what activities, what sport is your child in? No sports. They don't do well in school. Like, you're not teaching them discipline. They don't have a schedule. What's their schedule? School, no school. No school, they have 8 hours or 5 hours to do their homework. I'll do it later. But you go to a sport, you come back, you have 2 hours to get your homework done, you're going to get it done. So you go to the child, I don't want to have one of these resolutions. Okay, fine. I want you to start taking up baseball practice. Really? Yeah, really. But you have to be in practice every, 4 days a week that's there. And you have to be in the batting cages 1 day a week. Wow, okay, Dad, I'll do it. Now, the son is gaining, the daughter is gaining discipline. Then every so often when Dad's going to the masjid, his resolutions to go to the masjid, he'll tell the kid, you just want to come with. And then you bribe them a little, we'll stop off at wherever. Where did we go today? Billy's. Yeah. We'll stop off at, whatever, and, get some food or, and you motivate them. Any other questions? Yes. Is it haram to celebrate our New Year? Is it permissible? The opposite. You have to ask a mufti. But I will say this much. Celebrate the new year. You should do it. But just celebrate Islamically. What does Allah Ta'ala make us do in celebration? Add more prayers. So just pray more tahajjud that night. And the Prophet used to fast Muharram heavily. So fast that day. I guarantee no one's going to come and say bid'ah, brother, because you celebrate. Now, if you have streamers counting 5, 4, yeah, because what are you counting down to? Maghrib prayer? I mean, I guess it's a better New Year's because you don't have your kids don't have to stay up late. But no, I would if you want to celebrate the way the Sunnah celebrates. We celebrate by doing more worship. So yeah, go for it. Look, you don't have to ask a question. We can just stop. Yes. Sorry? I'll wrap it up. What I'll do is I'll give people one or 2 minutes. If they can't think of a question, we'll just stop, inshallah. I think there's another activity planned after this. That's why Mufti Sahib was asking. Yes, go ahead. Yes. Yeah. You know, this actually lends to a really important point. So I'm going to try to cover them both in one. And that is that, you know, oftentimes we don't, and I'm not saying you, but I'm saying in general, the Muslim community, we don't give our kids a lot to be proud of or celebrate. And what do I mean by that? So, you know, the kids just came back from Christmas. I just got the newest Xbox, and I just got the newest this, and I just got the newest that. What'd you get? Okay, granted, we don't give anything on these days, no problem. But why do we have Eid? I'm not saying set up like an Eid tree and have like Eid claws coming down saying ho ho ho, or like Arabically appropriate hua 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 or something like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm just saying is that like it's not haram to give a gift. We give a gift on Eid. We give a gift on Ramadan. We give a gift, you know, we tell the child, let's fast the money. And we give him a gift. Like Rasulullah, we see in hadith that when the Sahaba radiallahu anhum were encouraged to fast the day of Ashura, and some who started fasting, continue fasting. Those who did not intend to fast, start fasting. Even the kids were told to join. And then when the kids started getting a little antsy and, you know, hungry, what did the Prophet have them do? The Sahaba, they began to create these small little toys. It was out of cotton, right? Was that out of cotton? Yeah, out of cotton, these toys. So why, I mean, I don't see, the Prophet was so generous, the Sahaba were generous just in some capacity to give. So one thing is that when we have our days of celebration, which are 2, but you can even say a Jummah, whatever the case may be, we should learn to give. The Prophet said, give gifts, it will increase love. Now, it increases love for the giver, but imagine if you're giving a gift on a day that Allah honors. It'll increase love for the Creator as well. That's 1. 2, now, our kids may have, so why did I mention that? The reason I mention that is because when they have nothing comparable in celebration, then they feel like they've missed out. Secondly, oftentimes we attack the problem, and there are 4 or 5 steps before that problem was growing. So the child has no pride in Islam. Because they haven't, for example, there's been no reading of Hayat al-Sahaba at home. Reading Hayat al-Sahaba is powerful. Or this book, what's that book called that you guys would have for bedtime stories when you're younger? I know you're not, when you were younger. Pearls of, what was it called? Pearls of something. There's these really cool books from South Africa. So I'm saying this because when you read these books, when they're little, man, what do you have, man? You want some of this? You want some of this? Okay. So when you learn about these amazing figures, it gives them role models. Then they become proud of their religion. Now if someone asks in school, you didn't get any gifts? I'm not Christian, I'm Muslim. And there's a pride there. We're asking them to feel proud when they get knocked over. But if they have all these moments of building pride that's sort of protecting them, when they're hit, they stand firm. I remember, and I'm not anyone special, I remember that when I was in high school, that people used to make fun of me for lowering my gaze, not looking. And I remember very clearly that the girls in my class, and I remember 2 cheerleaders in particular, not that I remember my face, astaghfirullah, but I remember the circumstance that they were the ones who were defending me. And then the guys felt like complete jerks because they're not the one they want. And I remember they would come and they would, can you look at me now and stuff like that. And all the guys like, man, we should start lowering our gaze as well. There's a beauty in Islam. I remember once in high school, I used to wear a topi in high school. For no reason other than Allah gave me tawfiq. I remember this clearly. Sophomore year, it was in March. And I was in the cafeteria. I remember I wrote a letter to the dean and everything, and I got it cleared through the school because there's no hat policy in our school. So I went to topi to school. And when I was leaving my school, when I was leaving that day after school, I walked through the cafeteria, and one of the security guards saw me. They hadn't received the memo yet that I'm allowed to wear this. So I remember the security guard's name, Jackie. She's like, hey, you, get over here. So I'm thinking, not talking about me. I'm such a good kid, not talking about me. So I keep walking, like, hey, you, turn around right now. So finally I'm like, oh, my topi. So I turn around, I have the kufi on my head. I turn around, and I'm like, oh, let me explain. She's like, take that off your head now. Take it off. And she's barging towards me. And the entire cafeteria, which was a good, half to 2/3 full, like, let him keep it on. He's a Muslim. That was their words. They weren't Muslim. But there's a pride that when you're proud of something, people, they feel that pride. I remember my sister, she wore hijab in school. And I remember she was absent from school one day. Her classmate, who's my locker partner's sister, yeah. She told my locker partner who told me, so that's the sanad, in social studies class, she was absent that one day. And there's these 2 girls who were not dressed properly. They were saying, oh man, these guys are always talking about us, and they're always looking at us, and they're talking about how they're treated poorly. And so one of the football players turns around. Now, football player, classic jock, he's gonna make some rude, inappropriate comment. What does he say? He turns to them and says, well, it's because of the way you dress. What do you expect? There's one girl in this class who respects herself, so we respect her. They're referring to my sister because she wore hijab. There's a pride that comes. So if we're asking them to stand on the front lines before they went through all these initial steps of gaining pride, it'll be very hard. But if we're giving them ta'aleem at home, taking them to the masjid, giving them gifts during different opportunities, teaching them to be proud. Some of our children don't even know what their names are. Like, why were you named Saad? Well, I know because my father told me, but some other people might say, I don't know why. So they'll easily change it to, Seth, or, because when I was younger, I was actually, a strange, very embarrassing tidbit of my life, I was called Walter all through 4th grade. Because my first day in 4th grade, I moved, I wore a Walter Payton jersey to intramural sports. And then I said, what's your name? And they're like, we'll just call you Walter. And I let it go the whole year. I didn't say anything, because it's perfect. Finally, I fit in, because I was the only non-white person in my school. And then my brother found out, and he told my dad. My dad told me what my name was, why I was given this name. I'm so proud of it. And now I write it with the apostrophe, although the apostrophe is the wrong diacritical mark there, but whatever the case may be, it's in my birth certificate, that apostrophe. And I said, people ask, what's your name? Saad. Saad, okay, just say Saad. But I don't say what's over the phone. Who am I speaking with? Saad Quadri, not Saad Quadri. Muslims always do this. What's your name? Muhammad. It's just as weird to say Muhammad as Muhammad. Someone has the name as Suhaib, my brother's name. What's your name? That's a hard one to do. If I say Mufti Minhaj's name, Minhajuddin, it doesn't, anglicizing it doesn't make it more acceptable. It doesn't. My name's Bilal. It doesn't make it better. Muzammil, you can say Muzzy as your name. Actually, that's a very strange name to give you. Amir, I can say Amir. It's still strange. So we should just be proud. My name's Saad. I have no problem with that whatsoever. Well, I can't pronounce it. It's cool. You can just try. So I would say to celebrate what we have as opportunities, take them to gatherings like this, see other people who are just as proud to be here, who sacrificed their nights to come, who sacrificed their lives to study, who sacrificed, everything for the sake of Allah. It will grow pride. I see in my own children who went to Zambia, there's a profound change in them. Not because we did anything, because there's a Muslim environment there. People were proud to be Muslim. People walked as Muslims, they talked as Muslims. You had non-Muslims who would come at Eid saying Eidi, Eidi. And say, okay, because there's a pride. Every restaurant, Pizza Hut, every restaurant there was halal certified. Pizza Hut is halal certified, and the halal certification there is much more difficult. You have to pay an Muslim employee who will come and just sit there all day. in case anything happens that's inappropriate or wrong, or the wrong shipment comes in, they'll report it. So it's not even like Hafsa will provide it. They have to pay them to provide it. It's amazing, but they did it. So there's a sense of pride there, inshallah. Barakallahu feek. I'm reaching for the switch. Yeah, that's perfect, inshallah.
Inshallah, after the dua, then the youth can proceed downstairs. We have some snacks and sandwiches, inshallah.
Youth is everyone under 100, right? It's okay, because I have 364 days. I turn 40 Islamically, so I'm still youth. Yeah, it's the 30th of December, 2019. I said turn 40 Islamically, not Gregorian, Islamically. And that's one thing my teachers taught me. You should know when you turn 40 Islamically, because you should try to set your life up by that time. If you pass it, don't worry about it. But I'm just saying that's something really important. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa barik sallam. ربنا ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إنا كنا من الظالمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين يا أرحم الراحمين أنت رب المستضعفين وأنت ربنا أنت الغني ونحن فقراء إليك أنت القوي ونحن ضعفاء إليك ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين Oh Allah, thank you, Ya Allah, for letting us sit here today, Ya Allah, to remember you in some way, shape, or form. Oh Allah, we thank you, Ya Allah, that you allowed us to come and pray the Isha prayer and give ourselves half the night's worth of worship, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you grant us tawfiq, Ya Allah, to come for Fajr prayer, Ya Allah, and to be given the other half the night's worth of worship, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, thank you for this beautiful deen of Islam, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, thank you, Ya Allah, for surrounding us with a company, Ya Allah, who desires to grow closer to you, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, thank you for a masjid and facility, Ya Allah, that spends its day and its nights in facilitating worship and learning, Ya Allah, for your case, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we thank you, Ya Allah, that you sent our beloved Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to this world, Ya Allah, to take it out of the grips and depths of darkness and bring it into light, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, really, your Messenger Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did not ask much of us. He made one request, Ya Allah. He said, لا تسودوا وجهي يوم القيامة. Do not embarrass me on the day of judgment. Oh Allah, we ask, Ya Allah, that our lives are never a source of embarrassment for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Ya Allah. We ask that when our deeds are presented to him in his grave, Ya Allah, that he's only happy with what we have done, Ya Allah. We ask that when he sees us on the day of judgment, our family, our friends, our relatives, our community members, that he's proud of us, Ya Allah. We ask, Ya Allah, that when we approach the Hawd of Kawthar, Ya Allah, that he embraces us and gives strength from his hand, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask, Ya Allah, that you make us amongst those individuals, Ya Allah, that our Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can have pride in front of the other Anbiya for, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask that every ummati, Ya Allah, forgive him and her for all their sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that the entire world, Ya Allah, any believer, Ya Allah, forgive him and her for all their sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask that you guide the disbelievers onto the path of Islam, Ya Allah. We ask that you guide the believers on the path of Iman and Ihsan, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, the leaders across the world, Ya Allah, guide them to Islam and allow them to practice it correctly, Ya Allah. Allow them to have mercy upon the entire creation, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask you, Ya Allah, that as we sit in the comfort of this masjid, Ya Allah, with the lights and the carpet and all the comforts that are around us, Ya Allah, the temperature and everything, that our brothers and sisters across the world who are not in this type of comfort, that you please alleviate their difficulty, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, many of them tonight will go to sleep not knowing if they'll have food in the morning, Ya Allah. Many of them tonight will go to sleep not knowing if they'll wake up tomorrow morning, Ya Allah. Many of them will go to sleep, Ya Allah, and their roofs will be blown off the top of their homes in the morning, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, many of them may not ever see their parents, their mothers or fathers, their siblings, their spouses ever again, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant them ease, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant them ease, Ya Allah. Allah, grant them ease, Ya Allah. Allah, remove the obstacles that are preventing them from having goodness in this world, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, protect their iman and grow it, Ya Allah. Allah, those who are guarding Masjid al-Aqsa, Ya Allah, grant them success, Ya Allah. Those who are trying to find liberation, Ya Allah, within Syria, within Kashmir, within all these places across the world, Ya Allah, grant them success, Ya Allah. Those who are doing the work of da'wah and spreading the deen across the world, Ya Allah, grant them success, Ya Allah. Those who are spreading ilm across the world, Ya Allah, grant them success, Ya Allah. Those who are purifying hearts across the world, Ya Allah, grant them success, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we admit that we've come with countless faults, Ya Allah, and sins. But oh Allah, our ability to sin, our number of sins, all joined together, multiplied infinitely, does not even come close to one drop of your mercy, Ya Allah. So oh Allah, glance upon us with your eyes of mercy, Ya Allah. Shower upon us the rains of your mercy, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant us forgiveness, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we do not wish to have New Year's resolutions, Ya Allah. We wish to have this new moment's resolution, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, let us appreciate every moment that you give us, Ya Allah. Let us appreciate every opportunity that you give us, Ya Allah. Let us fulfill it, Ya Allah, through the way that the Prophet would have fulfilled that moment, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask that you bless the Sahaba Ikram, Ya Allah. Grant them with the highest position of being neighbors to the Prophet in Jannah, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we ask you bless the Anbiya, the Salaf al-Salihin, the Siddiqeen, the Shuhada, the Salihin, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, really we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask you grant tawfiq and success to this masjid, Ya Allah. Oh, the project that is taking place outside, and the projects that are taking place within their minds that they're planning, and the projects that they don't even know that they'll be planning, Ya Allah, grant them all success, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, let every individual leave this this institution, Ya Allah, be he or she a congregant, be he or she a student, be he or she a teacher, be he or she a patron, be he or she someone who walks by and just glances at with a moment of love or curiosity. Grant them the utmost success in this world and the hereafter, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, purify our wealth, Ya Allah. Do not let us have any haram transaction, Ya Allah. Allah, purify our food, Ya Allah. Do not allow us to have any haram consumption, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, give us tawfiq and ability to sit and make dua to you, Ya Allah. So many times we raise our hands, within a moment we look at our phones. Oh Allah, do not make us individuals who are slave to our phones, Ya Allah. Make us only slave to you, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you and we thank you for the blessings of our parents, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, bless our parents, Ya Allah. If our parents are alive, Ya Allah, grant us tawfiq, Ya Allah, to serve them and do their khidmah, Ya Allah. Let us finally make them proud of us, Ya Allah. Let us take care of them in a way that pleases you, Ya Allah. If our parents have passed away, Ya Allah, expand their grave as far as the eye can see, Ya Allah. Grant a window of paradise open to them, Ya Allah. Grant them the shade of your throne in the day of judgment, Ya Allah. Grant them al-firdaus ani hisab, Ya Allah. And when they meet us there, Ya Allah, let them see us and be proud of us and be happy with us, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, many mistakes and sins they may have committed, Ya Allah, it's because they wanted betterment for us, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, forgive them, Ya Allah. Forgive them, Ya Allah. Forgive them, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, forgive our children, Ya Allah, and bless them, Ya Allah. Guide them on your straight path, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, really holding on to deen is like holding on a hot piece of coal, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, it's very difficult for our children, Ya Allah. We've seen changes over the past decade that we had not seen over half a century, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant them ease, Ya Allah. Fill their hearts with the nur of Iman, Ya Allah. Grant the hearts the ladha of Iman, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant them the experience of ihsan, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we cannot raise them properly, Ya Allah. We cannot even take care of ourselves properly, Ya Allah. So we turn to you and we ask you, Ya Allah, you please raise them and take care of them properly, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, verily, Ya Allah, if, Ya Allah, we are unable to watch them cough at night, we're unable to watch them have a small cold, Ya Allah. We are able to watch them have fever, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, if we cannot watch them in this much pain, how will we ever watch them enter into hell, Ya Allah? Oh Allah, protect them from the hellfire, Ya Allah. Do not let them even come close to the hellfire, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, forgive and bless our spouses, Ya Allah. Raise their iman, Ya Allah. Make them as beautiful and beloved to us as when we first married them, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, forgive their sins, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, bless them, Ya Allah. Verily, we fooled them, Ya Allah. When we went to propose, we presented ourselves as one way, then they saw the reality, but they still kept quiet and they still support us, Ya Allah. Forgive them and bless them, Ya Allah. Have mercy upon them, Ya Allah. Make them amongst those whom you love, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask that you grant unity within the ummah, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant unity within the ummah, Ya Allah. Grant unity within the ummah, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask you, Ya Allah, that you please grant us this night and the nights that come forth, Ya Allah, visions of the Prophet in our dreams, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we're not fortunate enough to see him in this world, Ya Allah. Grant us the fortune of at least seeing him in our dreams, Ya Allah, and grant us the fortune of his companionship in paradise, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, we turn to you, Ya Allah, and we ask that you please bless anyone who's trying to memorize Quran. If they've forgotten and their Quran, Ya Allah, put it back in their heart with proper memory, Ya Allah. If they complete the Quran, Ya Allah, let it never escape them, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, if they are working towards becoming a hafiz, Ya Allah, let them be true hafaz of Quran, not just by word, Ya Allah, but by action and belief and submission and aqidah and everything that comes with it, Ya Allah. All those individuals who are studying part in full time, Ya Allah, make them true ulama of the deen, Ya Allah. You described al-ulama, that innama yakhshallahu min ibad al-ulama, that they are the ones who truly fear you. Oh Allah, grant them nights of standing in front of you, grant them nights of weeping in front of you, Ya Allah. Grant them days of fasting, Ya Allah. Grant them acceptance of khidmah for your deen, Ya Allah, and acceptance of service, Ya Allah. All those who established this institution, Ya Allah, Allow it to be a sadaqah jariyah for them and all their family and their ancestors and their progeny, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, anyone who's established any of these institutions across the world, Ya Allah, grant them the same, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, really the time is very short and the list is very, very long. So whatever is halal and tayyib within our hearts, whatever, Ya Allah, the Prophet sought from you, Ya Allah, what are the Salaf Salihin sought from you, what are the Anbiya, the Sahaba sought from you, Ya Allah, sought from you or sought protection in you from, Ya Allah. Grant us that, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, anyone who's requested dua from us, Ya Allah, please accept that dua for them, Ya Allah, in the most perfect and beautiful way, Ya Allah. Oh Allah, grant us, let us be proud to be Muslim, Ya Allah. And oh Allah, allow us to see your face when you unveil it on the Day of Judgment, unlimited amount of times in paradise, Ya Allah. اللهم إنا نسألك من خير ما سألك منه نبيك وعبدك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم ونعوذ بك من شر المستعاذ منه نبيك وعبدك محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم أنت المستعان وعليك البلاغ ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. Sorry? Yeah, no problem. That's right. You'll be around.
Inshallah, we can proceed downstairs for snacks, all the youth, and we can have more intimate settings where we can have further Q&A and different halqas and some types of games and recreational activities as well, inshallah.